In the early days of home console gaming, the Intellivision was Atari's biggest threat to living room supremacy. While it never managed to kick the 2600 off of its throne, it does remain home to some classic games as well as some of my fellow Gen Xers' childhood memories. Hi, I'm Paul, and this is Indie Pop Productions, pop culture from an independent point of view. In my last video, I unboxed and tried out the Intellivision Sprint. Now, this was my first experience with the Intellivision catalog, and spoiler warning, it did not sway me away from my Atari the way Nintendo did in the mid-80s. For those that didn't watch, I found a Sprint at a price I could not pass up while retro game shopping on Whatnot. I thought I'd give it a try, had some fun, but ultimately felt it wasn't for me. But we really didn't touch on the potential of the Intellivision Sprint. You see, the Sprint is really just a pretty emulation box, made to look like a classic Intellivision. An emulator is software that tricks the game file, or ROM, into thinking it is running on original hardware. They loaded the Sprint with 45 classic Intellivision games, but they included a USB port on the back so you could take a thumb drive and load up your own Intellivision ROMs and box art as well. There are videos online of people loading up what looks like the entire Intellivision catalog. I'm not interested in doing that, but I did load a thumb drive with 5 Intellivision Homebrew games that have been made free to download by the designers themselves. I'll leave links in the description below in case you'd like to give them a try. A little bit of housekeeping. Very soon, I will be giving GameSir's Pocket Taco mobile controller to one subscriber once we pass the 100 mark. Now, let's go see if these homebrew titles can change my mind about the Intellivision Sprint. Notice that when you add your ROMs, it doesn't actually add it to the carousel that already exists on your Intellivision Sprint. It creates a separate carousel just containing those specific new ROMs. First up is Fortress by Joseph Zbigniew. This was created all the way back in 2000, which shows exactly how far back Intellivision Homebrew goes. Many people consider this to be not just the OG, but also the GOAT of Homebrew for the Intellivision system. It's Tetris. It's Tetris. But you know, the music is great, the sounds are great, the colors pop, gameplay is very smooth. Every system should have Tetris on it, and now even those older systems that were created before and had their lifespan before Tetris was created, thanks to the homebrew community, can have Tetris on it. This is a great version of Tetris. If you have the Intellivision or the Intellivision Sprint, I do highly suggest you check it out. Next up, we are going to try a really excellent port of Miss Pac-Man. There are so many options on here. You can play as Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, or Junior Pac-Man. You can switch that up from player 1 and player 2, so you can play against each other as different people. You can change the amount of lives. You can change the difficulty. You can change if it's going to be following Pac-Man rules for the ghosts or Miss Pac-Man rules for the ghosts. You can change the type of maze you're going to have, from arcade to widescreen to just a very strange randomized version that makes it a little more complicated because you never know what you're going to get. And just the game itself, the gameplay is smooth. This is some of the best graphics I've seen, especially on a version of any Pac-Man game on one of these earlier, late 70s, early 80s consoles. It's so much better than the version of Pac-Man that's on the 2600. And honestly, I think it's even better than the version of Miss Pac-Man that's on the 2600. I thoroughly enjoy playing this and just looking at this and how nice and clean it looks. Oh, I missed one. Oh, I'm really bad about that, just missing a dot. Let me see if I can get back up there and catch it before one of them gets me. I can't go through that corner. And, oh, that was close. That was really close. Okay, now we're going to switch over, and we're still playing the same game, but I've gone into the settings, and we switched it up so we can just play one of those random mazes so we can see what it looks like. Just completely different. The power pellets are almost in random places. They're still in the 4 corners, but they're not kind of cornered in the way they are in the others. Ghosts are still acting like, I've got them programmed to act like the Miss Pac-Man ghosts, not the Pac-Man ghosts. But a little more complicated because you can't follow. They're still going to more or less follow their logic, but you aren't able to follow the patterns that you might normally follow on Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man because you're going to you're in this just oddly shaped maze, and if you make it past this one and get to the next level, then you're going to have another random maze, so you're not going to be able to use anything. You've really got to rely on your reflexes. Great version of Miss Pac-Man, great version of Pac-Man, honestly. So if you like the Pac-Man games of any kind, Miss or Mister, then I do highly suggest you check this out, because this is a lot of fun and one not to be missed for fans of the Pac games. While I couldn't for the life of me find who did that amazing version of Miss Pac-Man, the next two games were easy to find who designed. A very important, very popular person in the Intellivision Homebrew community, Oscar Toledo G, has come out with plenty of games, but two in particular we're going to talk about right now. The first one is Unlucky Pony. You can actually purchase this one for $9 and change on his website, but he did make this available for free last year on the on the Atari Age forums. So you can find, I'll leave a link to that below, because it has made that available for everyone. This is a very pretty game for a system this old. It is for very Mario-esque in the way it plays and the way it looks. I am terrible at it. I have trouble controlling the jumping. I'm not sure if it's me. I have a feeling it's me, or if it's just the controllers on this. Oh, I actually got one. The controllers on this this time period just weren't good enough for the inputs that would be needed for later games. I'm jumping all over the place, hitting the bad guys in the wrong way constantly. But again, I have a feeling it's me, because A, I know this is a great designer, and B, I see people on the forums talk about how much they love this game. I do love how it looks. I love the idea of it. I am absolutely horrid. And so we're going to move on to his next game. The next game is called Pumpkin Taxi, also by Oscar. Every year, Oscar tosses up a new game in the Pumpkin series on the Atari Age forums for Halloween. This is the best one that I came across, and a lot of people agree. It's called Pumpkin Taxi. It is an absolute blast. It's very pretty. It's very simple. You're just driving this taxi as Mr. Pumpkin or the Pumpkin through the city, and you got a short amount of time. So first you find a timer to extend your time, and then you find your little goal. That's where you're supposed to go. And there's 10 of them, 10 of the goals in each one. So you hear it count down 9, 8, 7, 6. But you'll run out of time if you don't quickly find those timer extensions while you're going. It's a very simple concept, but it does get a little tougher as you go along. First one's very simple. Second one, you see that dog there, the puppy. You've got to miss an animal that's in the road on each of them, and it'll be in a random spot, and that does change the courses you could take. So if where you need to go is behind that dog, you've got to find another route, which can help you run out of time pretty quickly. And again, it's still the same though: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get all the spots that you need to find and the time extensions to make sure that you get there. I had a blast playing this one. This is one of the later levels that I tried. The streets are so much longer with so fewer places to turn. You got the animal that you got to watch out for, so it is a bit tougher, but it never gets too tough. It is a very fun, very relaxing game. I never felt too stressed out, but I had an absolute blast playing it the whole time. Fortunately, on this one, I lucked out. It's kind of randomized, but the dog was in a spot that didn't affect me too much. A few of the other levels, that dog, or there's a frog, there's a few other animals that are going to be in there. We're in a very inconvenient spot, but this one wasn't too bad. But I do highly suggest you check out Pumpkin Taxi. Like I said, I'll get the link below, and this is one absolutely worth checking out and having a blast playing. Next up, we have one called Heli by Carlos Madruga. This one looks very much like it's a port of Hero, which is very common on a lot of the classic consoles, but he did a really fun thing with this. If you type in code 1225, your character is reskinned to look like Santa Claus, which is a blast. The music becomes Christmas music. Instead of trying to rescue lost spelunkers with your little helicopter, you are going through these caverns looking for your lost reindeer. You're still fighting the same creatures. Gameplay is very much the same. Instead of carrying little bombs, you are using explosive gifts, which makes me think of Jingle All the Way with Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger. You still go through the caverns. You still fight the little creatures. I'm Not sure if that's a gun or a laser or a taser or what that is. They're more magical looking creatures than generally what you're going to see in Hero, but the gameplay is the same. It is still a lot of fun. The music makes it absolutely delightful. I highly suggest this, even if you've played Hero enough times that you don't feel the need to play it again. It's worth going through it, especially at free. It's worth going through it a time or two just to hear the music and see this awesome skin. I cannot recommend this one enough. I smiled the entire time I was playing this game and got a special little smile on my face every time I rescued one of the reindeers. Check it out. I have just now begun dipping my toes into the homebrew scene. In fact, I have a couple videos coming up on homebrew for the Atari 5200 coming hopefully soon. And it is great to see how alive the Intellivision homebrew community really is. If the games on the Sprint were as fun and exciting as these 5, I might have a different opinion about Intellivision. And yes, there are a couple really good reasons you should not compare the homebrew to the classics. First, while these games are being designed with the same limitations that the hardware has always had, the designers have had nearly 50 years to figure out exactly how far they could push those limitations, resulting in some really amazing gaming experiences. And that's just 5 of the freebies. Second, the nostalgia factor. There are consoles whose controllers make me feel a certain way just by putting them in my hands. This is just not one of those controllers. So I'm gonna go with my original plan. Box this thing up, toss it on my eBay page, so hopefully someone can relive the feels they had while holding a replica of the console that they grew up with. I will continue to follow the Intellivision homebrew scene, and who knows, maybe one day I'll buy an original Intellivision so I could experience these games on the hardware it was designed for. I'll put a link to my eBay page in the description. Check it out. It's my primary way of funding this channel. And I'll also toss up a link to Whatnot for those interested in retro game shopping and live auctions. I don't sell there, but if you follow my link, you'll get a random credit between $10 and $200 for your first purchase, and so will I. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We do have that Pocket Taco giveaway coming very soon. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.